Hi guys, I hope you are well. So we have been looking at the case of Jack and Lily Sullivan, who have been missing since Friday, the 2nd of May. Now, obviously, most of my coverage has been over on my TikTok, and we have been following it extensively. There was a press conference yesterday, so I'm going to bring that to you first. And then we'll talk a little bit more about what has been going on. However, the children are still missing. So I'm going to start with that press conference and then we will chat about it. Hey, Michelle. Oh, my comments go.
I need space for notes there, so we're gonna have to move some of these guys. Yeah, so they have to be moved for our notes piece here. Is that okay?
Yeah. Thanks. Thank you very much. We didn't really have much time to do things. Is that okay if you like that?
Yeah, that should be okay. Thank you.
I've got it on a little bit faster as well, just so that it's...
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I am Corporal Carly McCann, Provincial Public Information Officer for the Nova Scotia RCMP. Thank you all for being here today. Bonjour, je suis la caporale Carly McCann, agent d'information publique pour la GRC en Nouvelle-Écosse. Merci de votre présence aujourd'hui. First, I acknowledge that we are in Mi'kma'ki, the traditional and unceded ancestral territory of the Mi'kmaq people. I also recognize that African Nova Scotians are a distinct people whose histories, legacies, and contributions have enriched that part of Mi'kma'ki known as Nova Scotia for over 400 years. Premièrement, je reconnais que nous nous trouvons aujourd'hui à Mi'kma'ki, le territoire ancestral traditionnel et non cédé du peuple Mi'kmaq. Je reconnais également que les Néo-Écossais d'origine africaine constituent un peuple distinct dont l'histoire, l'héritage et les contributions ont enrichi la partie de Mi'kmaq connue sous le nom de la Nouvelle-Écosse depuis plus de 400 ans. At this time, I invite the following officers to the podium with me. Inspector Mike Ingalls, District Policing Officer for Northeast Nova District RCMP, Staff Sergeant Curtis McKinnon, Pictou County District Commander, Staff Sergeant Rob McCammon, Acting Officer in Charge of Major Crimes and Behavioral Sciences Group, and Amy Hansen, Search Manager with Colchester Ground Search and Rescue. Staff Sergeant Curtis McKinnon will provide you with an overview of the efforts to find Lily and Jack. He will review the search and investigation that began on Friday morning and provide the current status and next steps. We will take questions from media present following that. I invite Staff Sergeant McKinnon to the podium. J'invite maintenant le Sergent d'État McKinnon à prendre la parole. Merci.
Thank you all for being here today. First of all, our thoughts go out to the family and loved ones of Lily and Jack Sullivan, to their communities, and to everyone who's worked day and night in an effort to find the children and bring them home. Since the first 911 call was received by the RCMP, reporting that 6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack had wandered away from their home on Garlick Road in Lansdowne Station, a multi-agency search has been underway. Teams have been working around the clock. This search has included many agencies, including volunteer ground search and rescue teams from across Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, the Civil Air Search and Rescue Association, known as CASERA, Department of Natural Resources Air Services, Nova Scotia Public Safety and Field Communications, Nova Scotia Guard, Joint Rescue Coordination Center, Salvation Army, the Canada Heavy Urban Search and Rescue Task Force 5, and several RCMP units, including police dog services and drone operators. Since Saturday, because we treat all missing person files as suspicious until our investigation leads us to determine otherwise, our Major Crimes Unit has been engaged. It's been an all-hands-on-deck effort using every available resource and tool. Since the search began on May 2nd, it has been concentrated in the Garlick Road area and has covered 4 square kilometers of heavy, wooded, rural terrain. Up to 160 trained volunteer searchers, along with many others, have been involved in the search each day. Tens of thousands of search hours have been dedicated to scouring the area, and GSAR has confirmed that over 100 tracks have been laid using GPS and grid searches. Efforts to locate Lily and Jack have also included 2 vulnerable missing person alerts, posting the children's photos and information on Nova Scotia RCMP website and social media accounts. Our social accounts have more than 300,000 followers, and releasing information to local media as well as reporters across the country. Lily and Jack have made headlines from coast to coast. While the search has been ongoing, RCMP officers continued with the missing person investigation, speaking with family and community members to gather tips and other information that could help locate the children. We have not received any confirmed reports of sightings. Lily and Jack's family has been provided with regular updates on the search and on the missing person investigation. They've also been afforded supports. As of today, May 7th, the active search efforts to locate Lily and Jack will be scaled back. We're transitioning from a full-scale search to searches of more specific spaces that have already been searched by our teams. We want to circle back to increase the probability that all clues have been found. And when transitioning from an active search to a scaled-back search, the probability of survival is taken into consideration. I want to assure you that our missing persons investigation continues. We're not packing up, and we're not giving up. Our investigation is broad, and it won't end until we know where Lily and Jack are and can bring them home. We'll continue to investigate and chase leads for as long as and as hard as we have to. We have the best investigators working every aspect of the file. We continue to appeal to anyone who have information related to our investigation and who has not yet spoken to us to contact the Pictou County District RCMP at 902-485-4333 or Crime Stoppers. Before I close, I want to reiterate that our hearts go out to Lily and Jack's family, to the community, and the people who've worked so incredibly hard to date. Many of us have children of our own and want nothing more than to reunite Lily and Jack with their loved ones. Thank you.
Thank you, Staff Sergeant McKinnon. I'll now provide his remarks in French. Merci à tous d'être présents aujourd'hui. Tout d'abord, nos pensées vont à la famille et les proches de Lily et Jack Sullivan, à leur communauté et à tous ceux qui ont travaillé jour et nuit pour retrouver les enfants et les ramener à la maison. Et depuis le premier appel au 911 reçu par la GRC signalant que Lily, 6 ans, et Jack, 4 ans, s'étaient égarés de leur domicile sur la rue Garlock à Lansdowne Station, les recherches ont été lancées par de nombreuses agences. Les équipes ont travaillé sans relâche. Plusieurs organisations ont participé aux recherches, notamment les équipes bénévoles de recherche et de sauvetage au sol de la Nouvelle-Écosse et du Nouveau-Brunswick, l'Association civile de recherche et de sauvetage aérien, également connue sous le nom CASERA, les services aériens du ministère des Ressources naturelles, le ministère de la Sécurité publique et des communications sur le terrain de la Nouvelle-Écosse, le Centre conjoint de coordination des opérations de sauvetage, la Salvation Army, la Garde de la Nouvelle-Écosse, la Force opérationnelle 5 de recherche et de sauvetage de milieux urbains de niveau opérationnel lourd du Canada et plusieurs unités de la GRC, y compris les services cynophiles et les opérateurs des drones. Depuis samedi, parce que nous traitons tous les dossiers de personnes disparues comme suspectes jusqu'à ce que notre enquête nous amène à déterminer le contraire, notre groupe de crimes majeurs a été mobilisé. Il s'agit d'un effort collectif qui fait appel à toutes les ressources et à tous les outils disponibles. Depuis le début des recherches, le 2 mai, se sont concentrés dans la région de la rue Garlock et ont couvert 4 km² de terrain très boisé. Jusqu'à 160 chercheurs bénévoles formés avec de nombreuses autres personnes ont participé aux recherches chaque jour. Des dizaines de milliers d'heures de recherche ont été consacrées à fouiller la zone et les responsables de recherche et de sauvetage au sol ont confirmé que plus de 100 parcours ont été effectués à l'aide des systèmes de localisation GPS et de grilles de recherche. Parmi les efforts de retrouver Lily et Jack, mentionnons aussi la diffusion de 2 alertes de personnes vulnérables disparues, la publication des photos et des renseignements sur le site web de la GRC en Nouvelle-Écosse et des réseaux sociaux, et la transmission de renseignements aux médias locaux ainsi qu'aux journalistes de l'ensemble du pays. Lily et Jack ont fait des manchettes d'un océan à l'autre. Pendant que les recherches ici se poursuivaient, les agents de la GRC ont continué avec l'enquête sur les personnes disparues, s'entraînant avec la famille et les membres de la communauté pour recueillir des renseignements et d'autres informations qui pourraient aider à localiser les enfants. Nous n'avons reçu aucun rapport confirmé d'observation. La famille de Lily et Jack a reçu des mises à jour régulières sur les recherches et l'enquête sur les personnes disparues. Ils ont également reçu du soutien. À compter d'aujourd'hui, le 7 mai, les efforts de recherche actifs pour trouver Lily et Jack passeront d'une recherche à grande échelle à des recherches dans les espaces plus spécifiques, des espaces qui ont déjà été fouillés par nos équipes. Nous voulons faire demi-tour pour augmenter la probabilité que tous les indices aient été trouvés. Lors de la transition à une recherche réduite, la probabilité de survie est prise en compte. Je tiens à vous assurer que notre enquête sur les personnes disparues se poursuit. Nous ne faisons pas nos valises et nous n'abandonnons pas. Notre enquête est vaste et ne s'arrêtera pas tant que nous ne saurons pas où se trouvent Jack et Lily et que nous ne les ramènerons pas à la maison. Nous continuerons à enquêter et à suivre les pistes aussi longtemps et autres intensément qu'il le faudra. Nous avons des meilleures enquêtes qui travaillent sur tous les aspects de ce dossier. Nous continuons à demander à toute personne qui ne pourrait avoir les renseignements liés à notre équipe et qui ne nous a pas encore parlé de communiquer, s'il vous plaît, avec le district de comté de Pictou de la GRC ou avec Échec au crime. Avant de conclure, je tiens à rappeler que nous sommes de tout cœur avec la famille de Lily et Jack, avec la communauté et avec toutes les personnes qui ont travaillé si fort jusqu'à ce jour. Beaucoup d'entre nous ont des enfants et nous souhaitons rien d'autre que de réunir Lily et Jack avec leurs proches. Merci beaucoup. We will now proceed with the question and answer period. For the benefit of all participants, please provide your name, the outlet you represent, and to whom your question is directed. We will be limiting the question and answer period to one question and one follow-up. Nous allons maintenant procéder à la période de questions et de réponses. Nous vous demandons, s'il vous plaît, de vous limiter à une question et à un suivi. Pour le bénéfice de tous les participants, veuillez indiquer votre nom, l'organisation que vous représentez et à qui vous dirigez votre question. Donc, on va commencer à ma gauche ici, so we'll start on my left over here if someone has a question on this side.
Yeah. Here around for Hydrogen and that. You said you're going over areas that you've already seen. What's the purpose of that? Before that, you were telling us you were extending the search, and if you could say it in French.
If you'd like to start in English, I'll do it first.
What we'll be doing is we'll be continuing on. Just because today the search is being scaled back, we still will continue on. We will go back to areas that we feel that we may need to re-look at, and we may expand out if there's any type of information that leads us to believe that we need to do that.
So if you'd like to follow up. Sorry.
Like why? Like how would that help you to specifically go to places that have been searched by hundreds of people, like you're saying? Like how could that help you find new links?
Yeah, because of the terrain, there could be different types of things that we may want to try and get back in if we are able to locate anything that may come up that the searchers didn't go catch the first time. But we will do everything we can to try and find Jack and Lily. Yeah, and based on the weather, the season changes. We don't want to leave, and we're not leaving. It's just that this part of the search is being scaled back.
So, en français, on continue de faire la recherche dans les mêmes espaces qu'on a déjà visités parce qu'avec les changements de météo, les changements de saison pendant l'année, on va peut-être trouver des nouveaux indices, des nouvelles choses là qui peuvent nous aider à établir des nouveaux indices pour trouver Lily et Jack. On continue avec la recherche ici et notre but ici continue de retourner Lily et Jack à leur famille et à leur maison.
I guess, you've done an incredibly exhaustive search here, and major crime is also here. And having not found these children, having done a very thorough search, can you tell us the role of major crime in this, and what you can tell us about that investigation?
Rob McCammon, Robert, and MCCAMON is the last name. So major crime became involved earlier in the investigation. We're able to bring in some specialized knowledge and skill sets, and we help with the information management and decision making. As we scale back, as we've identified, there are certain areas that are going to be relooked at that could contain a confined area perhaps, and maybe need some more specialized search areas. But I'll leave that to the search crews to expand on. And we're going to continue pursuing any leads or information that comes in, and the stuff that we do have. We have engaged in all areas of the RCMP. All tools that are available to us are being considered and engaged when appropriate.
Do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, as a follow-up, then I guess the general population looks at it and says, "You've searched very thoroughly this area.
Mhm.
You would have found them if they were there." Which then makes people, certainly on social media, people are assuming, rightly or wrongly, that there's a criminal element to this.
Sure.
And can you? I know. What can you tell me about that? Your work on that.
Well, I can't really speculate on the investigation, obviously. That wouldn't be fair to the process. But we are constantly reviewing everything that's been done, looking at all different facets of available information, and we'll make decisions on that. I can't really comment on the details of that, but we will pursue every lead that becomes available and take it to where it needs to go.
So is there a question? Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, Nicholas again, like National News. You first said it wasn't suspicious. You think the kids just wandered off. Now you're saying every missing person's investigation is considered suspicious. Is it still suspicious? Are there any suspects here?
Again, I'm not going to comment on the details of the investigation, but I will comment when somebody goes missing and we become engaged as any police officer, not just major crime, we will look at all the details and make considerations on the information we have, right? When it comes to a missing person, we have to automatically consider those, are there people that have different charter implications and things like that? So we will automatically start to consider what evidence is pointing us towards a suspicious in nature. Again, I can't comment more than that, but every missing person case, we would approach it from the same process, a methodical collection and review of information with decisions based on that.
And the
family has said they believe it's an abduction or they suspect it's an abduction. Are there now any clues or anything leading you to think that that might be possible?
If we had any information that led that way and we felt that we could provide anything with the public, we would have done that. We would have got that information out. We're working very closely with the family, and we will pursue every avenue. But again, I'm not going to make any specific comments, but anything that would point towards that, we would immediately take steps to address things that need to be addressed.
CBC. I think this question is most important to Staff Sergeant. You talked about survivability. I was wondering if you can address that specifically, given the ages of the two missing children and the weather conditions we've experienced this week.
Yeah. So the incident command person with the RCMP, along with the search manager, at some point have to make a decision when would it scale back the search. And a number of factors would have to take consideration, and they would, based upon scientific information that they have, to deem when that time has to come, and that is now. And a lot of those factors come into play would be the age of the missing persons, the weather, how long it's been, what area has been covered. So at that point, they have to make a decision on that.
I hate to ask this, but given their age and the conditions, if they were still in the woods, do you think they would still be alive?
I guess it goes back to all those factors that have to come into play, right? So we are scaling back because it's time to move to a different part of the search.
Scale back versus active search. I know yesterday there was a number at or around 140 searchers on the ground before scoring movement. You said, can you quantify what scale back is? Like fewer searchers, smaller area, larger area? How does that look going forward?
Yeah. So just to go to the first point, there's been a lot of searchers here, and we can't thank them enough for being here. They've given up. Well, a lot of them have been here since day one, and they have given up. Some have taken time off work. Some have left their families behind, and we are very grateful for that. Saying that, we will look in on them and their senior managers to give us some recommendations of what else we can do. But we will take that and we will explore whatever we have and whatever we can do to check in spots that need to be checked or whatever. But at this point in time, after today, we just won't see all these searchers here.
Sure. Amy, if you're comfortable with that.
I saw a person yesterday who was dressed like you, limping, being carried out. People were hot and sweaty to the Staff Sergeant's point. What I heard. Can you talk about how rough it was in the woods? Like, it looks almost impossible. What did you see, or what did your people and your team see when you went into this wilderness?
Well, these woods, they are very thick. There's a lot of the hurricane damage from Fiona a couple of years ago, and we've had teams struggling to get through areas, and I can't say anything more about the searchers. They're pushing through all of these areas, going through all of these deadfalls, going through waterways and anything possible just to cover their search areas. So we know that everything has been so thoroughly searched that it's time to, as they say, scale back. And we are exhausting people, and we're starting to see more injuries coming back the last couple of days. And it's hard terrain. Amy Hansen.
And
SEN.
And I will note as well, having had the opportunity to participate yesterday in a helicopter search as well, it is immensely clear looking from above, based on the orange tags on the trees, how thoroughly and meticulously the area has been searched, based on the indications you can see even from up in the air of how thorough the searches are. So I also give a hats off to the many, many searchers who have participated here in support of finding Lily and Jack. Yeah, would you like to go ahead?
Does the search still continue in the forest? Is there evidence that the children are in the forest?
Very slowly.
Are radios able to pick up Staff Sergeant McKinney here with his train? That's it. Okay. Well.
Wait.
Down.
This is where that train is coming through, and they talk about that in a second. It's actually going through.
Is that any better at this point?
Quite quietly. Quickly, not quietly.
I'll note as well the reason that the train is passing by slowly is out of respect for the fact that Lily and Jack are missing here. So it's passing slow in order to have their staff be aware and note the ongoing missing person investigation happening in the area here. So that just does, again, speak to the number of people involved and aware of this search and everything that's happening in this area, and the awareness and the way that the information has spread so widely through Nova Scotia and Canada. So I think we were with your question.
It's quite a squeaky train. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, so at one point there was a possible boot impression found, and I can tell you that the search and rescues then performed grid searches of that area and expanded out from that area in a meticulous fashion. They're focused and tight searches, and nothing else was found. It appeared it was a possible boot print of a smaller boot print. So when we have a possibility like that, that's when we exhaust that area as well. So make sure that wasn't a clue that we were missing. I don't believe cadaver dogs have been involved at this point yet.
Will they become involved? I'd also like to circle back to Claire's question on survivability. If we get a little bit more detail there about how you're making the equation.
Yeah, WD-40 would see it, right?
So cadaver dogs could be the next step in terms of when we talk about scaling back. That could be another option that we now look at using. And getting back to that point, I mean, that decision was made based on a lot of factors. And if we thought they were alive right now, we'd still be out there. Not that I'm aware I can speak to of the cadaver dogs are coming or not. I can't speak to it.
Is there a question here? No. So George, do you two have something global? No? Okay.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Jones with the Globe and Mail. Wondering if you can clarify, we heard major crime has been involved since Sunday, is that correct?
Saturday morning.
Saturday, okay. So do you believe the children met foul play?
Do you want to talk?
Again, I'm not going to comment on specifics of the investigation. We're going to continue on, and when we get to a point that we've got information that we're able to make any decisions that are able to be public, we'll let you know at that time. But right now, I'm not going to comment on specifics.
So, but you don't believe the children are alive anymore?
No, based on the experts and the review of the facts, the inclement weather, the time frames, and their age, the likelihood that they're alive right now is very low.
Okay, and can I just ask one more question about the scaling back of the search? Are you reducing the number of searchers out there, or is it being concentrated just with RCMP now, or how is that looking differently on the ground?
Yeah, absolutely. So the searchers will be finishing at the end of the operational period today, and now it'll come back to the Pictou District RCMP, and we'll make decisions and put in plans of how we move forward.
So rather than having the large presence here, the massive number of searchers on scene every day, searches will be based on information that comes in and specifics in order to make things pointed and specific to areas that are pinpointed or specific.
You can see the map in the background there, can't you, with it all circled and
I believe we've gone through the group for questions at this point. So out of respect for the police officers here and the many searchers who are still there, I'd like to conclude our media availability today. Oh, sorry, is there one person with, sorry, my apologies, sorry.
Alex Terrio, Standard Radio. You mentioned you're circling back to find clues. You talked about the blueprint. Are there anything you're looking to find, expecting to find, or usually find in these situations?
We're looking for any type of clue, any information to help us out. And then we'll take that information and work forward from that.
Second follow-up, is the blueprint still involved in the search process, or was that deemed to be not relevant?
I can't say it's not relevant, but it was the search was exhausted in that area, and we were not able to find any more clues or evidence in that area. So.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, you just said to the previous question that the ground search and rescue is being called, like the volunteers are being called off after today?
Yes, at the end of the operational period today, they will be done.
Can you see that in French?
À la fin de la session aujourd'hui, les équipes de sauvetage qui sont ici, leur opération sera finie à la fin de la journée aujourd'hui, le 7 mai. Merci. So again, out of respect for the search and rescue teams that continue to be on scene here and the police as well, we conclude this media availability today. And our thoughts do remain with Lily and Jack's loved ones at this difficult time. Alors que nous
So, guys, as you know, Jack and Lily went missing on Friday, the 2nd of May. Now, there were varying stories as to what has gone on. So, we've heard the mum say that they were asleep, that they were in and out of sleep when they woke up. The stepdad has said along the lines of, he didn't say that they were asleep, but he was implying that he could, he suddenly couldn't hear the children, which, if you're going by the mum being in and out of sleep, you're not actually listening to the children. And then they were playing outside. Well, if they were asleep, in and out of sleep, how would they know that they were playing outside? And then they said that they'd snuck out of the sliding door, which is quiet. So if you're asleep, you're not listening to the sliding door, number one, because you're asleep. And also, if there's children inside and outside, that sounds very, very different to what it would be. So even if you had been awake and you could hear the children in the house, but you couldn't hear the sliding door, my argument would be that you would notice that it would be a lot quieter and you would be able to tell the difference. And if your parents that they say that they are, that they would be out in the back watching them when they were out there, then you would get up and go and watch them, because you can then hear that they're no longer inside. But then there was also the story that they had been feeding the baby, and I would question, why does it take two? So could it be that they were in bed, they woke up, they sort of fed the baby in and out of sleep? Either way, all of those things that I've just gone through do still apply, right? Because obviously those, children being inside and outside, whether you're awake feeding the baby or not, you'd still notice the difference. Whether you heard the door or not, you would notice the sound difference. Now, that's the problem that I have in the story, and the story doesn't make sense, and a lot of people have come and said that this story is not making any sense whatsoever. Let me just change our picture. Share the screen. We're going to go in the Facebook group in a minute. I just wanted to make their face rather than the police officer's face. So the conclusive story that I think everyone's kind of going with at the moment is that what they are obviously what they're saying is that they were in and out of sleep. Now, like I said, when the stepdad was interviewed, I keep calling him dad, I don't know why, but when the stepdad was interviewed, he basically kind of implied that he could hear them, but the mother had already said that they couldn't hear them. So we're going to go and watch her interview now. I like to go through these like multiple times. I know we've seen a lot of this on my TikToks. But I do, because sometimes you pick more things up, don't you, as you go. So this is the mother, and it gives Jen Soto vibes. Do you know what I mean?
And I want them home. What happened was we woke up, I heard them playing in the next room beside us, and I was drifting in and out of sleep. And they're not the type of kids we tell them not to go outside on their own. We always make sure that we're out there with them, watching them. And they happen to just get out that sliding door, and we can't hear it when it opens. And they were outside playing, but we weren't aware of it at the time. And the next thing we knew,
So I say she's very calm, like Jen Soto here. She's very, I feel that when I'm watching this, and like I said, I'm not a body language expert. I do have a degree in psychology, so I do have an understanding of human behavior. But when I'm watching this, I kind of feel like it's coming out parrot fashion.
like it was quiet, and we get up and I tell him, my partner, Daniel, I tell him, do you hear the kids? And he says, no. And we get up instantly. We're looking outside. We're looking everywhere, yelling for them. And I instantly just call 911. I just had the instinct I needed to call. They're both really go-lucky children. They're so sweet. They talk to anyone. They'll talk your ear off. They will speak to anyone in a store. Everyone. They're just extremely sweet kids. I appreciate the huge surf.
Now, people from within the community have kind of said that, you know, she's told people that they're non-verbal, that they don't really talk, and obviously we can't verify that kind of information because that's just coming from what's going on the streets around the area from what people know. Now, what I do know in these cases is that people are often given information that they've heard and seen, and often has some accuracies to it and importance to play. But obviously, we can't verify what's been said. But what the mum is saying is that they are not non-verbal, and in this interview, they are very chatty children.
Search effort going on right now, but we've been pushing for an Amber Alert, which hasn't been issued. Not just that they could possibly be abducted, which it is a possibility that they could have been, but just an alert to let everyone know that they are missing. We had people text me saying that they weren't aware, someone else let them know that they were missing, and it would just be nice if everyone could be alerted. We thought maybe that we found tracks, but it's still uncertain. It's been raining and they're probably soaking wet, but with the sun today, I'm hopeful that they are feeling warm. We're all filled with pain and sorrow because we just want them found. We want them home. Everyone loves them. They are definitely verbal, and they do have possible autism, but it's not extreme autism. It's just they have issues with school, and they don't catch up with the other kids. I just want to remain hopeful. But there's always, in a mother's mind, you're always thinking the worst. Last night was one of the worst nights because I didn't have them in their beds. And I don't want to go through that another night without them.
And you know, oh, whoa, no, absolutely not. We don't want any of that, do we? Let me just see if I can find the stepdads. But to me, that sounds very rehearsed. It's very like very one tone. And you know, at the end there, when she's getting a bit upset, you can kind of feel it. And obviously, as the police said, when they brought in the major crimes unit, they brought them in from the start. It's not so that they've gone, oh, well, do you know what? We think that the... Sorry, it's my phone ringing. Sorry, it's so loud. I have to leave it on in case the vet's call. So, obviously, she's, you know, they have to bring in major crimes, even if, you know, the parents haven't done anything or are involved, and they always start from the beginning and they work their way out, don't they? Everyone close to the children are the ones that they consider at the beginning. Hang on, I'm just typing. See if I can just pull his interview up. He's given some more interviews since as well. Let me just see. I want his one in the rain. I won't have to go on my old TikTok because my TikTok has got me. Oh, there's me. I'll play my TikTok, shall I? That's not the one I wanted, but hey, we're here. Here I am. I'm on the Google search, guys. Mrs. AD looking around in the background. Oh, shoot. Jesus. I didn't share it with you. Here I am. Like this, I find that
Google,
quite a
innit?
lot, and sometimes that can be a distraction. Now, obviously, we don't have any information to say that he's guilty of anything, just rumour and speculation. Now, obviously, when people are on camera, we have to bear in mind that it's not something that they're used to, and it's not something that they would do on a normal basis, and so may act differently, and also aware that we're watching them. And what comes with watching them is people pulling the interviews apart, and that may make them nervous as well. Let me know what your thoughts are on this interview that the stepdad did in the comment section. Make sure you are following, because I will keep you guys posted on this case, and make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, After Dark Coffee and Crime. Bye, guys. So yeah, there I am, look, on the Google search. That was my video, and I don't know why I thought the screen was sharing it with you and it hadn't. Oh, it's our Julie. I'm glad she's on the case, because obviously, you know, she is from Canada and not far from there. I'm just trying to see if I can find the dad's original interview. I might have to log into the old TikTok, mightn't I? I don't want to do that. Let me just see. Hang on. TikTok doesn't make my day sometimes. Oh, sugar bump. Why is it saying couldn't find this page? Okay. Oh, I know that's a lie, because I'm on TikTok in it. And I can't find it in the let me go. I always find it funny when I pop up in the Google searches. I went into the Facebook group, but I can't see it in there. Okay. I'm sure I'll come across it at some point. Let me just switch screens. Let's go back to the original. We'll find it. I've got it. If not, it's on my TikTok. Trying to navigate this whole. I don't want to look at the layout. Because I'm on a different device. Everything's all in squiffy. Just because obviously I'm moving and that. Everything's not. So they've paused the group overnight. Stepdad has given another interview, and that is coming your way. I have posted a video on the crime scene. I'm going not crime scenes, because it's not a crime scene yet, is it? It's aerial footage of the home. But I was just looking to see if I could just find his interview in here, because I don't want. I like literally. Oh, I might have it in here actually, in my little group, in my little page, on me. Have I posted it on here? No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Oh, look, there's me. Funny that. That's not the original one, is it? That's the mother. There he is. That's the one I wanted.
When we noticed that the children were gone, immediately jumped in the vehicle, surveyed all the areas, many dirt roads, many culverts as I could, and waited for the police to get there.
So that is the stepdad's first interview that he gave. Now, there was a couple of things in the interview. Now, one of the things that he talks about is when they realise that the children are missing. So in a lot of the statements, we're hearing that the children were asleep. And in some of the things that I've read, they're talking about that they didn't hear the door. And I've said, obviously, if you're asleep, you're not listening for that sliding door anyway. And they've kind of made a point of letting us know that the sliding door is silent. But if they're asleep, they're not going to hear that. Now, he doesn't actually mention being asleep. He just talks about this like when he noticed that they were missing. Now, obviously, there's been conflicting information. Some saying they were feeding the baby, some saying, or obviously based on what was said, that they were asleep and in and out of sleep. So there's variants of the story, and that's probably through things being filtered down. Now, it could be that they were in bed, in and out of sleep, feeding the baby.
You too, sister.
But if you're asleep, you're not listening for the door. And my other point is that if you have woken up from that sleep, you went to bed. So when you go to bed, you normally lock the doors. So my question would be, why were the doors not locked? Because then if the doors were locked, the sliding door, they wouldn't have been able to have gotten out unless, say, the 6-year-old could perhaps open the door. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Make sure you are following so you don't miss the updates on this case, and make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, After Dark Coffee and Crime. Bye, guys.
That's so weird.
I mean,
I don't know what's going on with my clicker button, but it's not clicking. We did hers. That was my original first video. That was good editing, that, not gonna lie. And then he did this interview. Now I'll say now, he's been very vocal. He's been more vocal than the mum. More vocal than the mum. So, and he's just done another interview as well, which I need to do a video for, which I'm going to do. I have it ready. I have it all ready to go. But I needed to jump on here, and I'm limited with time because I've got to take Ebby to the vets. Ebby's got a scan today on the bladder, and then I'll perhaps know a bit more. Hopefully the other results will be back. So once I come back from there this afternoon, then we'll start. I'll continue. I'll have some other videos probably by then, but I'm going to try and get that video done of the latest interview, have that posted, and then put it on here for the people on the old YouTube streets. But he is very vocal. Now, Mum isn't very vocal. She's done that interview and I've not seen anything since. Why can I hear pops? So this is where like there's gunfire going off and I'm like, sounds like fireworks in the middle of the day. That's not gunfire, that is fireworks in the middle of the day. Fair enough. Yeah, I'll keep you posted. I'll keep you posted, sis. I will. I'll send you a message. I know you're at work anyway, but I'll send you a message when I am back. I've got to go for MRI actually straight afterwards, so there's that as well. So it's going to be tight squeeze. That's my scan today. I'm not looking forward to that, not at all, because I'm in a bit of agony and I'm going to have to lay still. That's not going to bode well. Probably should have cancelled it this morning, but I've got to go, ain't you? So the fireworks have now stopped. So let me just play this interview so you can hear it. Obviously, that's my video with my opinions, so I'll give a shout out to myself. That's After Dark Coffee and Crime on TikTok. That's me.
Dirt, running through water that was up to my waist. And as soon as I got back, I wasn't allowed back in the woods until a man dressed in military outfit said I could go back into the woods.
We are entering day 6 for missing children, Jack and Lily Sullivan. The interviews that have been done, I'm sharing with you. This is another interview that the stepdad gave the media. And what I'm noticing, and what a lot of people have noticed, is that there are inconsistencies in these stories. And when I'm listening to this particular interview, I'm picking up that in this video, the stepdad needs to tell you that he went, looking for the children, and he was shouting their names till his throat hurt, and then he was in water, waist deep. And I felt there was a lot of emphasis on those types of details. So in other words, trying to make sure that we know what he's been doing to look for the children. And sometimes in cases like this, I find that quite a lot. And sometimes that can be a distraction. Now, obviously, we don't have any information to say that he's guilty of anything, just rumour and speculation. Now, obviously, when people are on camera, we have to bear in mind that it's not something that they're used to, and it's not something that they would do on a normal basis, and so
Sounds a
may
bit
act
robotic.
differently. And also aware that we're watching them.
Well, it does through
And
my
what comes
headset.
with watching them is people pulling the interviews apart, and that may make them nervous as well. Let me know what your thoughts are on this interview that the stepdad did in the comment section. Make sure you are following, because I will keep you guys posted on this case, and make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, After Dark Coffee and Crime. Bye, guys.
So that was me. I sounded a bit robotic at the end there, didn't I thought. Right, now let me go back to the Facebook group. Let's have a look at these aerial photos. I'm going to go into depth with them tonight on our TikTok streets, because obviously TikTok is TikTok and YouTube is YouTube. Oh, missing in Canada. It's been a tough week. If you're having one of those days where everything feels heavy, please know you're not alone. If you ever need to talk, here are some places you can reach out, and there's all those numbers, especially if the case is obviously upsetting 21 that might have been through something similar. So obviously as well, the other red flags in this case, I'm having to remember, but I haven't covered it over here. Sorry, I'm just banging everything now. With this case, obviously we now know the mother has left the stepfather. Stepfather has since done an interview, by the way, as I said, and has blocked him on social media. So the question is, and it's a question, it's not an accusation. The question is, yeah, you don't need a wash machine. It's all simple. It's all simple, innit? The question is what's led to that? Now, there's multiple things being said on social media, and again, it's on social media, so you kind of got to say, well, usually when the locals are saying things, there's usually some truth behind it, but we can't verify it because it hasn't come from an official source like the police. So we just take that on board, that there's some things that have been said. But anyway, so they've separated. He stayed at the location, she stayed at her mother's. Now, for me, I wouldn't go anywhere where my children are missing from and the police are. I'd want to be there in the centre, because I would want to make sure that should they be found and they were alive, obviously it's not looking like that's the case now, but should they be found, I would want to be nearby, because they're going to be scared without having to wait for mother to come back. And I just want to be with their things. I just wouldn't want to leave. But that's me. Hold on one second. All right, okay, sorry, just been distracted. So what was I saying? Sorry, I got distracted by text message. Thanks, Mrs. AD. So yeah, I would want to be with the children, like where their stuff is. I just would want to be there. So that's where I sort of sit, obviously, with that, and that is a red flag. The inconsistencies in what's going on here is a massive red flag. So it was put in the article as well that she is not with him at this current time. Now, the other thing was about the bio dad. Everyone's like, AD, what's happened with the bio dad? And I'm kind of like, well, there's rumours about that too. My understanding is, and probably the most consistent thing is, he's not in the children's lives. And there's been no communication, no interviews from him. If if he should turn up, I'd be like, hang on a minute, dude, like, you haven't been bothered with your children. Right now, I want to go at the photos. That's what I was looking for. I thought they'd just be there, like, straight away. Hang on, media. So, here's some of the aerial photos. We're going to have a quick look at those. I think you can see them okay. Yes, you can. So, this is that drive. There's vehicles on the drive there. There's like 4 vehicles there. It's very messy, very uneven terrain. And we'll go into these in more depth this evening. There's toys scattered around. That car's obviously not going anywhere. The wheel's off of it. And then you've got the branches. And they're kind of just parked on that dirt track. You've got a pile of logs there. And when I'm looking at this, I'm kind of looking at all this terrain, thinking there's so much land. So that is the sort of track that heads to that main road there. So looking at the pictures, and you'll see why in a minute. Let me just scoot along. What is the white truck the medium is talking about? Don't know about no medium. There's that log pile again. There's more toys. There's that pink truck. We'll zoom in properly more on these later this evening and look at each of what's just scattered around. But probably the most tidy thing on this property is, in fact, the log pile. It's sad, isn't it, seeing the kids' toys? That's obviously the helicopter. Police. It says police on there. There's a big enough land for that to land on that property. Now, if the children had come out of here, which I'm assuming that the bit where the cars are is the front, right? And this is the back. Or is this the back? Is the back that bit, but they call that the back and they've gone out that way? Or have they gone out this way? Because it's pretty well fenced in. It's actually double fenced in. You've got like a fence all the way along by that shed from the house for the trailer to the shed. And then you've got a fence all the way along here. It's all fenced down here. So that's interesting, because to me, that's where the drive is. That would be the front. This would be the back. That took some effort to leave that property for a 4 and a 6-year-old. I have to zoom. That fence seems to go across. Like, it's like double fenced. You see that? It's like double fenced. This is in Canada. This is in Canada. Nova Scotia. Now, they say that they don't lock their doors at night because it's quite rural. And whilst I understand that, to be honest, if I had young children aged 4 and 6 and a 1.5-year-old, which they have, and there's some other children, I would lock the door. So again, that whole thing of them waking up, if they'd have locked the door because they've got young children, not because they're worried about intruders coming in, if they'd have locked the door, then that may have stopped them from obviously getting out of the property, because they're only 4 and 6. But if they had have locked the door when they went to bed, so I've said this before and I can't remember what I was going to say. Oh my God, I hate it when my thought process just goes, boy, bye, see you later, I'm done. You were talking and now you've lost track. I just kind of, obviously, like if they've locked the door and then they're awake asleep, they would perhaps hear the key turning. Do you know what? It's just, there is just something that is not right with this. Sliding doors. Also, they make reference to the sliding doors. Do they claim the doors or the back or the front? Well, my understanding was, I thought it was the back sliding doors, but they do have other photos. Let's move on. So you can see there's sliding door there. And there's the other property there. And even that's got a fence across it, so they can't get into there. Let's try and get round to the front. That's the other property that's got like a makeshift lid roof. At first, I thought they'd been digging because it was an aerial view, and they've dug around they've dug to make it there. You can see like they've made a makeshift gap for it. Right, let's go. Who was in the photo and what they carry, and that's a police officer, I would think. So this is the other side of the property. I would say they're the sliding doors, guys. And then you can see there's that double fence. Like there's the fence across there, and then there's the fence on the other side. So they really made an effort to leave. And if they're children that don't go, like, wouldn't do that kind of thing, why would they leave a doubled fence? Like, I'm figuring that's some kind of chicken coop. And they have photographed aerial shot of above of that double fence, which we will look at in more depth this evening on my TikTok streets. Kind of feel like they took the roof off and then stuck that on, or it's a leaky roof. That trailer door is open. So much land. Hang on, let me just go back there a sec. There's water there. You know how deep that is, but I'm assuming that would have been searched. Looks like it's a bit of boggy land. The porch doorway there, which I'm assuming must be the front, and the other is the back. Looks a bit on the wonk. I have done. I've got.
We are constantly reviewing everything that's been done. Looking.
Right, so we've heard what he's had to say. Let me come back to the comments. So by the looks of it, if they have one side had sliding doors, that we would assume that would be the front. And doors look like they definitely squeak. Yeah, I mean, the house is as old as the hills. It is falling apart. There's toys scattered everywhere. The police would have checked the sliding doors, though, to see if they do actually slide quietly or whether they slide quite loudly. So that'll be something, obviously, that they're going to take into account. They're going to take into account the surroundings. They're going to take into account that double fencing. I'm really I wasn't expecting to see the double fencing. When I did the video on my TikTok, because the photos are a lot smaller, it's hard to see. And obviously, I'm not pulling them apart over there. But we'll pull them apart on TikTok this evening. That's what we're going to talk about, these photographs, and obviously any news that comes from today, because obviously they're only 4 hours behind. But yeah, I wasn't expecting there to be that kind of double fencing. So that's like added security, and they're only 4 and 6. So there's so many mysteries to this. There's so many statements that have been made that kind of clash with each other from the parents. There's, and obviously they've now scaled back. They haven't stopped looking for them. They have scaled back. And when we listen to that police press conference, we have to listen to what they've said and what they're not saying. So they're not saying that there is no criminal element to this. And they're not also saying, because sometimes we know from press conferences, and it could be different in Canada, but like when they kind of especially where there's speculation around the parents, they try and like to curb it quite quickly around that if they can, and they will come out and they will say there is no anything pointing to the parent at this time. They never say like, oh, we've ruled them out completely, but at this time we don't have any evidence to show that there's any involvement from the mum or the stepdad or whatever. But they haven't said that. And they've referred to their thoughts of being with the family of the children. But often, we hear them specifically say the parents, family and friends. So who knows? They didn't want to elaborate on anything else because obviously there is an investigation going on. And so they gave us the bare minimum, that they've done this, but they can't answer this and they can't answer that. So what we know is that they're scaling back and they're focusing on specific areas. And that may be because they've got specific intelligence that tells them that they need to go back to certain areas, and then they might bring in some different types of equipment, different types of people, with different, it penetrating sound, oh God, I can't even think of the name right now. God. Stud my day, I've not had enough coffee. The ground penetrating sonar. So they could have all that. If there's any disturbed land, they're going to go back. And obviously they would have been looking for children being alive, perhaps wandering. And now perhaps they're going to go back to certain areas and, double check for disturbed land, that kind of thing. Now they said about that small boot print. I misheard that yesterday. I thought they said boot. They found a small boot, but it was a boot print. And they're obviously going to go and do that. And then they've said about, someone asked about cadaver dogs, and they're probably that's part of the next phase. So even they're standing down the volunteers basically, but they're still going to be doing, obviously this is more of a recovery at this point based on what they know with the weather that there's been out there, the fact that they haven't eaten or had any fluids, and that obviously it gets cold overnight. It's been raining, it's been warm, the temperature's been up and down all over the show. Yeah, a literal whodunit. I need to tell them if they squeak, or I need them to tell me if they squeak or not. Well, I'm sure that will come out in anything later on. I don't know how it works in Canada with documents and stuff, so Obviously, in the US, we'd be able to get FOIAs. I've had a load of FOIAs sent to me from the Madeline Soto case, so that's exciting. So that's my, I'm getting used to this requesting FOIAs. So that's interesting. But obviously, I don't know about Canada yet, and I'm still trying to get used to the US. I don't think they do things like that over there. I think they tend to do things, and then when it's concluded, information is then released, perhaps, I think, on Freedom of Information Act. But there is so much information on this case. There is so much to cover, and there are so many things that we can say, but there's so many things that we don't actually know is true. There's a lot of opinions. And whilst we consider those opinions, we can't actively say that they are fact. They are just people's thoughts, opinions, or from locals. So we bear them in mind. And, they help us when we're looking at this stuff. Actually, yeah, that person is right, because they might think of something that you have not when you're assessing things, because sometimes people see something from a different viewpoint. So we have to take that on board, but we can't accuse the parents of anything. But what we can say is, in our opinion, and in my opinion, something isn't right. There are vibes from the Maddie Soto case with their interviews, for example. There are vibes of, as I've said, Kalia McNabb, the baby, where the mother was sleeping and woke up and suddenly the baby had left the trailer. And obviously, if they were sleeping, these children have left the trailer. And Kalia was found quite quickly. She was found deceased in that bag. And so there's other cases, like people are saying, and they're bringing the comparisons, like with his interviews, he's like Chris Watts. So many red flags in what's been going on, but we can't accuse them because we don't have any evidence, and the police aren't saying that there's anything, but they are investigating. So we'll follow this case all the way through, as we do. I will be on my TikTok probably for most of it and posting the videos over here. But when we have something that we can sort of dig into, we will bring it over here and we'll pop on for an hour and just go through the lives. But it might actually be easier for me to download my lives on the coverage and then post them over here, so that you can then watch them back if you want to watch the replay if you haven't yet seen them. I will take a look, Michelle. So with that, I do have to go because I've got to get my little girl over to the vets for her tummy scan, and then I've got to try and rush back and sort myself out and get over to the local hospital, and then I will go from there. So I will see you guys on my TikTok properly this evening. Look out for the videos. I will post them over here as well. Stay safe. Make sure you have a good day, whatever the time of day it is, wherever you are. And I will see everybody very, very soon. Yep, of course, I will send you a text message. It'll probably be in a few hours because her scan's at 1:15. And then my hospital appointment is at 2:25, and I don't know how long I'm going to be in there for. Maybe 20 minutes. I hope only 20-30 minutes, but as soon as I'm out, I will let you know. Have a good day, guys. Love to all. Bye, sis.